Backed up for miles, how a bridge collapse closes a main commute for travelers.
A new policy has taken place, how dialing a 10-digit number is affecting Nevada residents.
And the weather conditions are looking a little bit chilly in Las Vegas today. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up, but right now you're watching Studio G.
New this morning, 6 people are hospitalized after a shootout at a FedEx warehouse in Georgia. I'm Zach Fuentes.
And I'm Elena Ledbetter. A man believed responsible for the shooting was found dead inside the building with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to authorities.
The building was evacuated while police searched the warehouse for any type of secondary device the suspect could have left in the building. The Obama administration is taking steps to help colleges and universities measure the magnitude of sexual assaults on their campuses and provide better protection for victims. The White House launched a dedicated website, notalone.gov, to make enforcement data public. A report shows that 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted while in college.
Do police officers need a warrant to search the cell phones of people they arrest? That's the controversial issue the Supreme Court is set to tackle today. The justices are hearing 2 cases on the matter. The court has long allowed those searches, but critics say it's unfair because cell phones hold or provide private access to a person's life. A court ruling on the issue is expected in June.
For years, patients with leukemia and other life-threatening diseases have depended on matching bone marrow donors. That chance to save a life came yesterday during UNLV's Housing's first annual bone marrow drive. The common misconception of most drives is that it's invasive. However, the drive only consisted of taking DNA by swabbing a cheek.
What we're doing is essentially putting people into the National Registry. They're swabbing their cheeks so that their DNA can be sent to the National Registry. And from then on, that's in the government's hands. Whenever they need a match, they just call them.
The process for becoming a registered donor is as easy as 1, 2, 3. First, applicants must be found eligible, donors between the ages of 18 and 55, below the max weight listed for their height and in general good health. Once found eligible, the applicant may fill out the registry form. The form is required for contact information such as address, email, and phone number. One of the other main components of the form is the ethnicity section because it's how the donor is matched to the patient. Lastly, the applicant is asked to swab each side of their cheek for 15 seconds. Place the used swab into an envelope and sign off their name. Once processed, applicants may be called at any time. Emily Herman received her call to donate when she was 18. Immediately after the processing period, although sudden, Emily responded.
The actual process I went through was the peripheral blood stem cell donation. That's similar to an apheresis blood donation technique, where they took blood out of my arm and then collected stem cells that way.
Donors are asked to donate one of 2 ways, as Emily did, through a peripheral blood stem cell donation or through a marrow transplant. The marrow transplant is a 1 to 2 hour process that takes the marrow cells from the backside of the pelvic bone. This year's bone marrow drive brought in 103 applicants. For more information on how you can become a donor or where the next nearest drive location is to you, visit deletebloodcancer.org.
This week, the U.S. Senate is set to revisit a stalled proposal to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 to $10.10 an hour. President Obama and congressional Democrats plan to push the issue on the campaign trail ahead of the November midterm elections. In the meantime, many states have made moves to raise their own minimum wages. 21 states in the District of Columbia already have higher wages, and that number will soon grow. Lawmakers in Maryland, Minnesota, Delaware, and West Virginia have recently approved minimum wage increases.
This week is Holocaust Remembrance Week around the country and around the world.
Yesterday evening, a Holocaust remembrance ceremony was held inside the Student Union here at UNLV.
The ceremony honored the memories of 6 million Jewish martyrs and 5 million other victims lost with a candle lighting ceremony that included the viewing of a student-created documentary and guest speakers, including a local Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest turnout that we've ever had, and I think part of that was showing the film that was created by UNLV students. The event was a really important opportunity to hear from survivors of the Holocaust while we still can. We had over 100 students and university officials in attendance, and I think it was a really meaningful ceremony.
Tomorrow, a discussion will be held on the history and meaning of Holocaust testimony. The event will be held inside the UNLV Lead Library. It's free and open to the public. After the break, how players in the NBA feel after a racist remark made by the Los Angeles Clippers owner.
Turn off your digital devices because Screen-Free Week has just begun. It's a 7-day celebration of life without screen-based amusement, but you can still use screen devices for work and homework. Families are encouraged to trade their digital entertainment for more time playing, reading, and connecting with nature. Screen-Free Week is organized by the Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood.
It's not a bad idea. While college is hard enough and having a disability can only make it harder. However, UNLV has found a way to accommodate the visually impaired both off and on the court. Studio G reporter Nicole Reynolds got to meet up with some talented players who enjoy the competitiveness of the sport.
It's not your typical sport. You're playing by your other senses, you're forced to find other ways to communicate, and lastly, you're blindfolded.
Goalball is a Paralympic game for those who are visually impaired or blind, and basically the point of the game is to roll a big ball with balls in it and to roll it to the other side. It's a team of 6 players and divide up into 3, so you play an opposite team and you try to block the opposite team from getting the ball into your goal.
The game was modified for UNLV. The typical goal ball is about the size of a basketball, but players were playing with a wiffle ball, and when rolled, sounded a little something like this. Also, the blindfolds are usually blackout goggles, but players were using cloth. The game forces both the impaired and non-impaired to tap into their other senses in order to communicate.
When you lose a sense, you end up really relying on your other senses, and we all have the ability to do that. It's whether you learn to tap into that or not, or use it.
O'Neill knows firsthand the struggles that come with being impaired. Although born with eyesight, she now has zero acuity, meaning zero ability to perceive small details. However, it was through sports like goalball, where she played center for the women's Western Regional team, that she was able to participate in sports on a leveled playing field.
Goalball is one of those sports that makes it possible for a population of people who couldn't be physically fit just excel and be able to be on a court where everything's fair, everybody's blindfolded, no matter what kind of vision you have or don't have, you're blindfolded.
Goalball is just one step toward bringing more sports for those who aren't able-bodied to UNLV. For Studio G, I'm Nicole Reynolds.
Other sports for the visually impaired include a form of baseball called beat ball and form of netball called 5-ring ball. For more information on how UNLV is leveling the playing field, visit drc.unlv.edu.
It's okay for babies to cry, and the louder the better? Well, maybe in Japan. Hundreds of babies aged 6 to 18 months joined a crying sumo contest in Western Japan Monday. It happens every year on the national holiday, Children's Day. People believe a baby's loud cry will ward off evil spirits and bring healthy growth. The babies are dressed in traditional festival coats and headbands and sit face to face in a sumo ring. A referee shouts at them to make them cry, and the baby who cries first wins.
I have a feeling those evil spirits are gone.
And I feel horrible for laughing, but that's very
They're
interesting.
adorable.
I've never heard of that.
I wonder what they're doing to make the babies cry, though.
Well, he was screaming in their faces, so
Oh,
that's a bit
okay.
terrifying.
Make
I would
me
be
cry
terrified.
a little bit too, then. They're adorable, though.
That's right, yeah.
All right, well, that's all the news we have for you today.
We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Studio G. Have a good day, Las Vegas.